My beloved child, listen closely, because what I am about to reveal has not been spoken in generations. Archangel Michael is moving tonight, and he is drawing your spirit toward a doorway that only a few souls will recognize. This Christmas Eve is not like the others. You have lived through something rare, something divine, something that carries the weight of heaven's breath is shifting toward you. And if you miss this moment, you may not feel this kind of spiritual wind again for years. There is a stirring in the invisible realm, an awakening, a tremor, a whisper of holy fire, and Michael says it is moving directly in your direction. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but your spirit has already sensed the disturbance. The sudden chills, the random heaviness, the unusual calm, the strange inner pulling, all of it has been signaling that heaven is aligning something for you. Tonight, Michael has stepped forward with his sword lit like a blue flame, saying, "Prepare them." A rare shift is approaching their life. This energy is not ordinary. It is not seasonal emotion. It is not just a holiday atmosphere. This is a releasing, a divine unlocking meant only for those who are spiritually awake enough to recognize the subtle movements of God. And here is the part that will shake you. This shift is coming toward you, not past you. Many will feel something in the air but fail to interpret it. They will treat the night like any other night, and the moment will pass quietly over their heads. But you were drawn here because heaven intends for you to notice what the others will ignore. Michael is placing a seal of awareness over your spirit, because he knows that when God sends a rare blessing, the enemy often sends distraction right beside it. This is why you felt pressure recently. This is why certain people have pulled away. This is why thoughts have been louder than usual. Not because something is wrong, but because something holy is approaching. As Christmas Eve draws near, the veil thins. The atmosphere becomes sensitive. Heaven becomes more active. And tonight, a vibration, an energy shift, is moving toward your timeline. Michael says this shift carries a blessing wrapped inside it, one designed specifically for you. Something you prayed about quietly. Something you longed for but could not explain. Something God held back until your spirit was strong enough to carry it. But hear this, only a few will notice. And those who notice will be marked by transformation. This shift will expose truths in your life. It will remove someone who has been blocking your progress. It will illuminate a path that has been hidden from you. It will stir emotions you didn't know were buried. It will call your name in the quiet hours, asking you to rise, to heal, to listen. Archangel Michael stands by you now, not as a distant guardian, but as a witness to what is unfolding. And he is whispering, "Stay attentive. The sign you seek will appear at the end." Yes, your confirmation is coming, but not yet. There is more that must be revealed before the sign arrives. You are in the opening stretch of something supernatural, something timed so precisely that even delays in your life were part of the preparation. Heaven did not allow certain things to happen earlier because the atmosphere was not ready. You were not ready. The people connected to your blessing were not ready. But tonight, this Christmas Eve, heaven is aligning the moment. Michael says, "Tell them their spirit will recognize the shift before their mind does." Meaning you might feel a sudden warmth, a single tear for no reason, a heavy exhale, a tingling presence around you. Do not ignore these signals. They are markers that the blessing has entered your field. And before we go further, hear this clearly. Nothing about your year disqualifies you from what is coming. You haven't missed your chance. You haven't failed too deeply. You haven't lost too much time. God specializes in arriving at the moment that looks impossible. And this energy shift is heaven's way of saying, "I haven't forgotten you." Stay close now, because the next revelation will unfold the deeper meaning behind this rare movement. And if you scroll away too soon, you may miss the moment your spirit has been asking heaven to confirm. This is where the message begins to open. Type "I welcome the shift" in the comments if this is touching your spirit. Blessing code 144 is now activated for those who receive it. My treasured soul, there is something you must understand before the next wave of this message reaches you. Archangel Michael has begun to shift his stance in the spiritual realm, and whenever he shifts, it means a divine instruction is being released. Tonight, that instruction concerns you. This Christmas Eve is not only carrying a rare energy, it is carrying a recalibration of your destiny, something that touches the deepest layers of your identity. What is moving toward you is not simply a blessing but a repositioning. Heaven is preparing to place you where your spirit was always meant to stand, even if your life circumstances have not reflected that truth yet. Michael says the energy moving toward you is a returning. Something that was lost, delayed, mishandled, or misinterpreted is finding its way back to you with greater clarity and greater purpose. You may feel as if parts of your life have been scattered, but the shift coming is a gathering of fragments. It will reconnect you to opportunities that slipped through your fingers, to strength you thought was gone, to courage you believed you had used up, and to spiritual insight you did not know you possessed. This is why the enemy tried to tire you in recent weeks. Fatigue is often the final attack before a breakthrough. You were not losing your way, you were approaching sacred territory. There is a moment, a thin place in time, when heaven leans closer to earth. As Christmas Eve holds one of those moments, Michael says the rare energy shift carries an anointing of realignment. You will notice this in the form of sudden clarity, unexpected peace, or a quiet knowing that something has changed even if nothing looks different yet. Heaven often moves silently before it moves visibly. Do not underestimate the power of what is aligning beneath the surface. There is a specific message Michael wants you to hear. The blessing is not coming from outside. It is rising from within. The energy approaching you is awakening dormant gifts, forgotten talents, and hidden strengths. You will feel a pull toward things that once inspired you but were overshadowed by responsibilities or disappointment. The shift is not only bringing something to you, it is awakening something in you. These inner stirrings are not random. They are invitations. Every time you feel that tug, Michael is signaling that heaven is breathing on your purpose. But understand this as well. When a rare blessing approaches, not everyone around you is meant to witness its arrival. Some people in your life have been aligned to your past, not your future. Michael says this shift will quietly separate you from energies, relationships, and environments that cannot carry the weight of where you are going. It may appear subtle at first, the change in tone, a delay in communication, a sudden emotional distance, a quiet realization that certain bonds have reached their expiration. Do not fight these changes. They are not punishments, they are protections. Heaven removes what cannot steward the next chapter, and you must allow what is falling away to fall, because what is rising in its place is far more aligned with your spiritual identity and divine assignment. You are not losing people, you are shedding layers. You are not entering isolation. You are entering elevation. When Michael prepares someone for a rare shift, he does not crowd them. He clears space around them so the blessing has room to land. And there is something more. Michael says the energy approaching you will illuminate a truth that has been shadowed for years. This truth is not meant to hurt you. It is meant to free you. Whether it is a realization about your worth, a revelation about someone's intentions, or a clarity about the path you must take, this moment will act like a key unlocking a door you did not know how to open. This is why your spirit had been restless. Restlessness is often the soul preparing to recognize what it could not see before. A shift coming toward you is not chaotic. It is orchestrated. It will not overwhelm you. It will elevate you. It will not break you. It will refine you. Every emotion rising within you is part of the preparation. Every memory resurfacing has a purpose. Every hesitation you feel is being replaced with divine confidence. Michael has already gone ahead of you, clearing the obstacles you cannot see yet. This is why you were guided to this message at this exact moment. There are no accidents in the realm of spirit. Heaven draws the soul into alignment through whispers, signs, and inner nudges. And tonight, the sign is approaching. Michael wants you to stay alert, stay open, stay receptive. Your confirmation will come at the end, and when it appears, you will know instantly that it was meant for you. The shift that is approaching is both a promise and a prophecy. Before you move forward, let your spirit settle into this truth. You are not waiting for your blessing to arrive. Your blessing is already on its way. And every second you remain connected to this message, the alignment strengthens. This is the hour when the invisible becomes undeniable. Hold steady, because the next revelation will carry a deeper unveiling, and you will want to be here when that moment opens. Type "I embrace the realignment" in the comments if your spirit feels this stirring. Blessing code 303 is now released for those who receive it. My Radiant One, as we move deeper into this message, Archangel Michael steps closer, not as a distant guardian, but as a commander of divine timing. He says this part of the revelation is where your spirit begins to feel the shift, not only as a promise but as a presence. The energy moving toward you this Christmas Eve is gaining momentum. It is no longer drifting. It is approaching with purpose, like a wave carrying the sound of heaven. And if you quiet your heart for a moment, you may even sense it rising in the background of your life. Michael reveals that this rare energy shift is not meant to decorate your spiritual journey. It is meant to alter the direction of it. You are standing on spiritual ground that has been overlooked by many, but marked for you. This moment is not random. Heaven orchestrates specific seasons when the earth becomes more receptive, and this Christmas Eve holds such a window. It is a thin place, a soft place, a holy corridor where what once felt unreachable becomes accessible. And the blessing coming toward you has waited for this exact timing to be released. Yet there is a truth Michael wants to uncover here, a truth many fear to face. Blessings often arrive wrapped inside destruction. This is why recent days have felt like emotional turbulence. Patterns in your mind have been shifting. Dreams have been strange. Conversations have carried deeper weight. Even silence has felt louder than usual. These sensations are not signs of chaos. They are signs that heaven has begun rearranging the inner rooms of your life to make space for what is coming. A blessing cannot rest where old fears still rule. It cannot thrive where old wounds still whisper. And so the shift approaches with both tenderness and intensity. Michael says the energy coming your way will push you toward a truth you have been avoiding. You were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to shrink to fit the expectations of others. You were never meant to apologize for having a spirit that feels deeply. The rare shift arriving this Christmas Eve carries the vibration of expansion. It will stretch your comfort, elevate your mindset, and awaken a boldness you thought you had lost. You will notice yourself thinking differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. These changes will be subtle at first, but powerful. There is also a message regarding someone in your life. Michael says that the shift will expose energies that have been draining you quietly. People who smile with you but do not stand with you. People who speak peace but carry hidden envy. People who enjoy your light but fear your awakening. You will not need confrontation for truth to rise. The shift itself will reveal everything. And once it does, you will feel a calm certainty about who is meant to stay and who must fade. Nothing forced. Nothing dramatic. Just clarity. But what is most important here is the divine instruction. Do not resist the rearranging. Many souls miss their blessing because they cling to what heaven is trying to remove. You are being positioned for alignment, for renewal, for elevation. Let the shift change you. Let it guide you. Let it break the patterns that have kept your spirit in a loop. Michael says your obedience to inner nudges in this season will open doors your effort never could. You must also know this: the blessing coming is not a single event but a chain reaction. When the shift touches your life, one area will begin to influence another. Emotional clarity will lead to relational healing. Spiritual awakening will lead to new opportunities. Inner strength will lead to better decisions. Everything begins to rise when the spirit rises first. This is why heaven is preparing your inner world right now. What comes next requires a heart that is awake, steady, and aware. And here is the part Michael emphasizes with urgency. Your sign is already forming. It is not delayed. It is not uncertain. It is already moving through the unseen, making its way into your life. Michael says, Tell them that the end of this message will carry confirmation, and you will recognize it instantly. Something inside you will lock into place, but you must remain until the moment arrives, because the sign cannot be understood without the revelation that surrounds it. You have made it this far because your spirit is ready for more than surface-level encouragement. Your soul yearns for truth, depth, direction, and heaven responds to hunger. If you feel a stirring inside you right now, that is not emotion. That is recognition. Your spirit is remembering something it has always known. You were created for divine encounters, and one is approaching you now. Hold steady as we move forward, because the next revelation will begin lifting the veil on what exactly this blessing carries, and you will not want to miss what unfolds next. Trust that you were guided here for a reason, and the reason is approaching with every breath. Before we shift into the next unfolding, speak into your future. Type "I stand in the awakening" in the comments. Blessing code 919 is now released to those who receive it. If this message is touching your spirit, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe so this divine word reaches the ones heaven is calling. Your engagement helps the light spread further. As this revelation settles into your spirit, hear this. When you help carry God's word forward, you become part of the very shift Michael is speaking about. Every seed you sow becomes a flame that lights the path for someone whose heart is trembling in the dark. The scripture that says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you," is not a memory. It is God speaking to you in the present tense, calling you into the river of overflow. And now I say to you, if you feel heaven stirring you to act, let this be your moment. I invite you personally to support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, not as a donation but as a prophetic response. Those who give into divine assignments are never forgotten by heaven. May every supporter be marked with increase, protection, and accelerated blessings. Step into this mantle now, my awakened soul. As we move further into this revelation, Archangel Michael begins to unveil a deeper layer of the rare energy shift approaching you this Christmas Eve. He stands in a posture of both protection and announcement, as if guarding something sacred that is meant for your spirit alone. He says this part of the message will prepare you to recognize the shift when it arrives, because many will feel the atmosphere change, but only a few will understand what they are sensing. You, however, are being prepared to notice the signs as they unfold before you. Michael reveals that this shift carries a frequency that resonates with truth, purpose, and awakening. Not everyone resonates with such energy, which is why only certain souls will feel its impact. You are among those chosen to perceive what others will overlook. The shift is not approaching you randomly. It is drawn to your spirit because your heart has been calling for alignment, healing, and direction. Heaven does not respond to noise. It responds to sincerity. And your sincerity has reached the courts of God. Michael says you may notice moments in the coming days when the air around you seems to pause for a second, as though time itself is listening. These moments are not coincidences. They are preludes, spiritual signals, markers that the veil is thinning around your life. The blessing coded within this shift cannot arrive without preparation, and that preparation often shows up as an unusual awareness, an increased emotional sensitivity, or a sudden stillness in your environment. Pay attention to the stillness. It carries messages. There is a stirring in the realm of truth, and Michael says the shift will illuminate a part of your life that has been clouded for too long. It may reveal a choice you need to make, a direction you need to take, or a person whose intentions have not aligned with your destiny. Revelation can be uncomfortable because it forces the spirit to confront what the mind ignored. But do not fear what is being revealed. Michael says every unveiling is a form of protection, even when it feels like disruption. This shift will also awaken spiritual knowing, intuition that feels stronger, clearer, and more direct. You may find yourself sensing things before they happen, recognizing patterns in conversations, or understanding situations without explanation. This is not imagination. It is spiritual intelligence rising within you. The blessing coming your way cannot be stewarded with a foggy mind or a crowded heart. Heaven sharpens your inner vision before releasing new levels of influence into your life. Michael explains that some souls resist divine shifts because they cling to familiarity. But your spirit is different. You have endured seasons where you were stretched beyond what you thought you could bear. You survived moments that should have broken you, and each survival expanded your capacity. Heaven does not waste resilience. You are strengthened for a purpose. The rare energy shift is attracted to souls that have endured storms but kept their heart open toward God. This alone qualifies you for what is approaching. Heaven also reveals something significant. The blessing inside this shift is layered. It has spiritual, emotional, and practical dimensions. At first, it may show up as peace replacing anxiety, then clarity replacing confusion, then opportunities replacing stagnation. Do not dismiss the early signs because they seem small. Every major shift begins with a whisper before it becomes a wind. Michael says the blessing will first touch the inner world before manifesting in the outer. This is crucial. Many people rush to see external change and overlook the internal preparation. But your spirit is being tuned like an instrument, set to the correct frequency so you can receive without resisting, rise without collapsing, and step forward without doubting. This inner aligning is why you may feel nostalgic, emotional, or reflective lately. Heaven stirs memory to heal it. You must also understand that the shift draws a boundary against anything trying to drain you. It will place pressure on situations that no longer serve your purpose. Conversations that once felt comfortable may begin to feel heavy. Environments that once felt familiar may begin to feel limiting. This is not because you are losing interest. It is because you are outgrowing what was never meant to contain your next chapter. Do not shrink to fit the past. You are being elevated into the future. Michael shows a vision of a door cracking open, light spilling from its edges. He says you have been standing near this door for longer than you realized, knocking without knowing heaven was already turning the handle. The rare shift approaching you this Christmas Eve is the moment the door begins to open fully. And once it does, you will understand why every delay, every detour, and every disappointment had timing woven into it. Heaven was not late. Heaven was aligning. And now hear this with your whole spirit. The sign you are waiting for is connected to this opening. It will not appear randomly. It will appear when your spirit reaches the point of recognition. Michael says, tell them their sign will find them, not the other way around. Your only task is to stay present until the end of the message, because the final unveiling will resonate with a clarity that feels like a divine echo inside your chest. Before we move forward, let your heart anchor itself in this truth. You are not moving toward the blessing alone. Heaven is walking with you. Michael is guiding you. And the shift approaching you carries your name. If your spirit feels the movement of this message, type "I feel the shift" rising in the comments. Blessing code 550 is now released to those who receive it. My rising soul. As the revelation deepens, Archangel Michael steps even nearer, and his presence carries a weight that presses gently yet powerfully upon your spirit. He says this portion of the message will begin to unveil why the rare energy shift is coming specifically toward you on this Christmas Eve. Nothing in the divine realm is random. Heaven does not release rare alignments without purpose. And Michael wants you to understand that the shift is responding to something you have carried within you for years. Something quiet, something resilient, something sacred. Heaven reveals that you have been walking through a long season where parts of your spirit were awakening even when you didn't have language for the awakening. You felt things changing. You sensed chapters closing. You felt the weight of old emotions rising to the surface. And although you didn't fully understand it, these were symptoms of spiritual evolution. Michael says you have been rising, even on the days when you felt like you were falling. You have been healing, even when your heart felt tender. You have been maturing, even when confusion clouded your mind. Heaven watches process, not performance. Heaven honors growth no one else sees. The rare shift approaching you this Christmas Eve is a response to the seeds you planted with tears, prayers, questions, small acts of courage, and moments of surrender. Michael says the shift comes to souls who have endured in silence, who have kept moving through emotional storms, who have not abandoned their inner calling even when the world around them felt heavy. You are being rewarded for a faith you did not know heaven noticed. But heaven noticed everything. There is something else, Michael reveals. The energy moving toward you is a cleansing wind. It is coming to sweep away spiritual residue that has clung to you from old disappointments, old betrayals, old losses, and old versions of yourself. This is crucial because you cannot carry the past into the blessing designed for your future. The shift does not simply arrive with gifts, it arrives with separation. Michael says some of what you are losing right now is not a loss at all. It is a release. Heaven does not take anything from you unless it is making room for something better. You may notice yourself feeling different lately, sensing changes in what you tolerate, what you desire, what you accept, and what you dream about. These are not random mood changes. These are spiritual signs. When heaven shifts your atmosphere, your internal world adjusts first. You begin craving peace more than familiarity. You begin choosing truth over comfort. You begin seeing the intentions of people more clearly. You begin recognizing what drains you and what nourishes you. This is evidence that the rare shift is already brushing against your field. Michael says the blessing coming toward you is deeply personal. It is not generic. It is tailored to your spirit, designed from the lessons you have learned and the prayers you whispered in private moments. Heaven has woven your experiences into the blessing, which is why the shift feels both mysterious and familiar. Something inside you knows this moment has been building for years. Something inside you recognizes the divine timing, even if your mind cannot fully grasp it. This spiritual familiarity is heaven's fingerprint. There is also a message about your identity. Michael says the shift approaching you is meant to restore parts of yourself that were dimmed by life's disappointments. You once carried a fire that circumstances tried to extinguish. You once dreamed boldly before fear taught you to shrink. You once trusted deeply before betrayal taught you to guard your heart. Michael says the shift will return what was taken, revive what was weakened, and rebuild what was broken. You will feel yourself expanding again, not outwardly at first, but inwardly, where true transformation begins. In the days ahead, you may feel waves of insight rising suddenly, as if heaven is whispering answers into your spirit. You may wake up with clarity that was not there the night before. You may find that certain worries lose their power over you. These signs are important. They are indicators that your spirit is aligning with the rare blessing approaching you. Michael says the shift will come quietly at first, like a soft tide touching the edge of your life. But then, once your spirit recognizes it, the blessing will break open like morning light. Understand this. The shift comes with instruction. Not commands, but guidance. You will feel nudges to let go of certain situations, to forgive someone, to step into a new opportunity, or to distance yourself from draining energies. Obey the nudges. Heaven moves subtly before it moves visibly, and your willingness to respond determines how fully the blessing unfolds. Michael shows the image of a candle being lit in a dark room. The flame begins small, but the darkness cannot overcome it. He says this is what is happening inside you. A flame is being rekindled. Hope is being restored. Vision is returning. Strength is rising. You may not feel its full heat yet, but its presence is undeniable. The shift is not only approaching you, it has already begun touching your inner world. And now, Michael gives one final instruction for this part of the message. Prepare your heart to receive. The blessing coming toward you requires openness. If your heart clings to fear, the blessing hesitates. If your heart opens to faith, the blessing accelerates. Michael says heaven is waiting for your yes. Not a loud yes, not a dramatic yes, but a sincere yes within your spirit. Before we continue, anchor this moment with intention. Let your spirit respond to what heaven is releasing. Type "I open my heart to this shift" in the comments. Blessing code 404 is now released to those who receive it. My beloved one, as we enter this next flow of revelation, Archangel Michael moves with a gentleness that contrasts the power he carries. He says this portion of the message will reach into the deeper chambers of your spirit, where unspoken fears, unexpressed hopes, and unresolved memories still sit quietly, waiting for healing. The rare energy shift coming toward you this Christmas Eve is not only meant to bless you, it is meant to free you. And freedom always begins where truth meets the soul. Michael reveals that before a divine blessing settles upon someone's life, heaven often shines light on the areas that have been dim or neglected. This is not to overwhelm you, but to prepare you. He says you may notice memories resurfacing in the coming days, not to haunt you, but to release you. The shift approaching you carries a cleansing nature. It is meant to break emotional loops that have kept you circling the same patterns. Some of these loops you became aware of, but others were hidden beneath your everyday thoughts, shaping your decisions and reactions without your full understanding. Heaven is now bringing these inner patterns into view so the blessing can rest on a heart that is no longer weighed down. There is something sacred in this moment. Michael whispers that the rare shift is responding to the deepest version of you, the version that exists beneath every disappointment, every fear, every moment of silence when you wondered if heaven still remembered you. Michael assures you that heaven remembers everything. Every tear was counted. Every heartbreak was acknowledged. Every prayer that trembled out of you during your lowest moments was heard and preserved. He says your pain did not go unnoticed. It became part of the divine calculation of timing. Michael explains that the shift coming toward you carries a sequence of alignment. First, it will shift your internal atmosphere, then your relationships, then your opportunities, then your spiritual authority. Heaven always moves in this order, because outward changes cannot be sustained if inner fragments remain unhealed. This is why the shift begins within you. You may have noticed lately a growing desire for peace, a longing for stability, or a need to distance yourself from certain energies. These desires are not coincidences. They are spiritual preparations. Heaven is clearing emotional debris so that the blessing coming your way lands on clear, steady ground. Michael says your heart is entering a season where old emotional wounds will finally loosen their grip. The sting of past memories will weaken. The hold of past disappointments will fade. The heaviness of past betrayals will lose power. The blessing that approaches cannot mix with bitterness or fear, so heaven is removing what does not belong to your next chapter. Michael reveals a powerful truth. You have underestimated your own resilience. You have endured seasons that others would not have survived. You have walked through darkness without losing your compassion. You have carried burdens that were not meant for you, and still managed to hold on to goodness. Heaven is rewarding this strength. This Christmas Eve, the rare shift carries recognition. Heaven sees you. Heaven honors you. Heaven is aligning you. There is another deeper revelation. Michael says the shift approaching you carries a calling. You are being positioned to step into a role your spirit had been prepared for across many seasons. This calling is not about public recognition. It is about spiritual influence. You will begin to affect the atmosphere around you in ways you never have before. Your words will carry unusual clarity. Your presence will bring peace to others. Your intuition will sharpen. Your dreams may become more vivid. Your ability to sense spiritual movement will increase. All of this is part of the awakening unfolding inside you. Do not be surprised if your desires begin to shift. Things you once wanted may no longer appeal to you. Things that once satisfied you may now feel empty. This is not confusion. This is refinement. Heaven is pointing your heart toward paths you were always meant to walk, paths that align with your purpose and expand your destiny. Michael says the energy coming toward you will unlock ambition that was buried, creativity that was silenced, and courage that was dimmed. You will feel a push toward something new, even if you cannot yet name what that new thing is. Michael also reveals that your relationships are entering evaluation. Anyone who is not aligned with your divine expansion will naturally begin to drift away. This is protection. When a rare blessing is approaching, heaven removes emotional liabilities from your life. Pay attention to who feels distant, who becomes silent, who grows cold, or who suddenly reveals their true intentions. Do not chase what heaven is releasing. Do not cling to what heaven is removing. Let the shift do its work. There is a moment coming in which you will feel a quiet but undeniable internal breakthrough. It may happen while you are sitting alone, or while you are thinking deeply, or even while you are resting in silence. It will feel like something inside you unlocks, like a weight lifts, like a breath you did not know you were holding suddenly releases. This moment is a precursor to the blessing. Michael says this sensation will be your inner confirmation that the shift has fully entered your spiritual field. And now, Michael gives one final message for this section. Prepare to interpret signs. Heaven does not always speak with visions or thunder. Sometimes the sign is a conversation. Sometimes it is a coincidence. Sometimes it is an emotion. Sometimes it is a sudden clarity that seems to come from nowhere. These signs will multiply as the shift comes closer. Stay attentive. Stay open. Your confirmation will arrive, just as promised, at the end of this message. Before we move into the next revelation, anchor this moment in your spirit. Type "I prepare my spirit for the shift" in the comments. Blessing code 828 is now released for those who receive it. My evolving soul, as we walk further into this unfolding revelation, Archangel Michael moves with an intensity that signals we are approaching the heart of this message. He says the rare energy shift drawing nearer to you is not only meant to bless you, but to redefine the way you walk through the world. What is coming toward you this Christmas Eve is a recalibration of your spiritual identity. It is heaven's way of lifting you from the remnants of who you used to be and guiding you toward the version of yourself that has always been waiting beneath the surface. Michael begins by revealing something profound. You have carried certain burdens for so long that they began to feel like part of your personality. But heaven never intended for you to live under the weight of those emotional shadows. The rare shift approaching you is coming to unhook those burdens from your spirit, so you can step into a lighter, freer, more expansive chapter of your life. This is why, in recent days, you may have noticed a strange emotional sensitivity, moments where you felt unusually introspective, unusually nostalgic, or unexpectedly moved by things that did not affect you before. These are signals that inner walls are beginning to soften. Heaven breaks hardness before releasing blessing. Michael explains that your spirit is entering a season where your old limits will no longer fit. You outgrew them quietly, through experiences that shaped you, through lessons that matured you, through challenges that elevated your inner strength. This rare shift is not coming to make you someone new. It is coming to reveal who you truly are. You were never meant to shrink. You were never meant to dim your spirit to make others comfortable. You were never meant to silence your intuition to match the expectations around you. The shift is pushing you out of confinement and into alignment. There is a specific message from Michael. Your next chapter requires a stronger version of your voice. This does not mean force or confrontation. It means authenticity. You will find yourself speaking more honestly, choosing more boldly, and standing more firmly. You will notice a confidence rising that does not come from pride but from clarity. Heaven is clarifying who you are and what you carry. This inner grounding is essential, because the blessing approaching you would feel overwhelming if your sense of identity remained tied to old insecurities. Michael reveals that this shift is also reordering your emotional structure. For years you carried wounds that shaped your reactions, your thoughts, and your interpretations of situations. Some of those wounds came from childhood. Some came from betrayal. Some came from seasons where you felt unseen, unheard, or undervalued. The energy approaching you will not erase the past, but it will strip the past of its power. You will begin to see those memories differently. What once felt like scars will begin to feel like reminders of how far you have risen. What once felt like pain will begin to feel like wisdom. Heaven is turning old suffering into strength. Michael says that when this rare shift touches your spirit, you will no longer be controlled by the emotions that once dictated your decisions. You will find yourself calmer in situations that previously triggered fear. You will feel clarity in moments where confusion used to dominate. You will recognize manipulation faster. You will sense spiritual danger earlier. This is because the shift sharpens your inner compass. Heaven does not elevate someone without strengthening their discernment. Here is also a message about timing. Michael reveals that the blessing coming toward you is entering your life exactly when you need it. Not early, not late. There were seasons when you begged for certain breakthroughs, yet heaven withheld them. Not because you were unworthy, but because the blessing would have been misused, misunderstood, or mishandled at the time. Now, however, your spirit is ready. You have matured. You have healed. You have shed enough layers. You have learned enough lessons. Heaven only releases rare shifts when the vessel is prepared to carry them. Michael also reveals that your relationships will begin to shift in noticeable ways. People who are aligned with your growth will feel magnetically drawn closer to you. Their energy will feel nurturing, supportive, and peaceful. On the other hand, people who cannot handle the version of you that is emerging will begin to distance themselves. Their presence will feel heavier. Conversations will feel forced. Their reactions may feel unpredictable. Do not be surprised. When heaven elevates one person, not everyone connected to them is meant to rise with them. Some people have completed their assignment in your life. This shift will reveal loyalty, expose hidden envy, and uncover silent intentions. It will guide you toward relationships that honor your growth and away from those that hinder it. Michael says your circle may become smaller, but it will become spiritually stronger. This is divine refinement, not loss. There is another deeper truth Michael wants you to understand. The rare energy shift approaching you will realign your path. For too long, you have walked with uncertainty about what direction to take, or where you truly belong, or what purpose you were meant to embody. The shift will illuminate your next steps with surprising clarity. You may feel sudden impulses to change direction, start something new, or release what no longer resonates. These impulses are not random thoughts. They are instructions. You will know a divine instruction by the peace attached to it. You will know a divine warning by the heaviness attached to it. Pay attention to the weight of your emotions. Michael says your spiritual sensitivity is increasing, and as the shift draws nearer, you will begin noticing signs more frequently. Patterns in numbers, repeated phrases, sudden coincidences, a vivid dream, a strong inner pull. These are not random. Heaven uses repetition to confirm what the Spirit already knows. The shift approaching you is not only rare, it is personal. It carries your name. It carries your healing. It carries your next chapter. And your sign, the one heaven promised, is still waiting at the end of this message. Everything is building toward that final unveiling. To anchor this moment with faith, type "I align with my divine shift" in the comments. Blessing code 660 is now released to those who receive it. My ascending soul, as we move into this powerful unfolding, Archangel Michael's presence grows more radiant, more commanding, more deliberate. He says this is the moment where the rare energy shift approaching you begins to take form in the realm of the unseen. It is no longer a distant vibration. It is no longer a subtle stirring. It is now positioning itself directly at the edge of your life, waiting for the exact divine moment to break through. Michael reveals that this Christmas Eve is not simply a date on a calendar. It is a spiritual threshold. It is a doorway between what hath been and what will be. And you are being summoned to step into it with awakened eyes and an open spirit. Heaven shows that the reason this shift is classified as rare is because it carries a double anointing, one of release and one of restoration. Many blessings come with one or the other, but only a few seasons in a lifetime carry both. This is why your spirit has felt stretched, tired, hopeful, uncertain, and expectant all at once. You have been sensing the weight of transition before it becomes visible. Michael says you are standing in the last fragments of a season that has completed its assignment in your life. The shift will close what needs to close, not out of punishment but out of preparation. You may feel a strange mixture of detachment and anticipation lately. Perhaps you feel disconnected from old desires, or uninterested in things that once excited you. or unexpectedly reflective about your life's direction. These sensations are not random emotional waves. They are spiritual recalibrations. Heaven is pulling your spirit away from what no longer aligns so you can move freely into what is destined. The shift approaching you is removing the energy of stagnation and placing momentum beneath your feet. Michael reveals that this next layer of the blessing will target your vision, your inner sight, your ability to perceive beyond illusion, your capacity to discern what is meant for you and what is not. For years, clouds of confusion tried to linger over your decisions. There were moments when your heart wanted one thing, your mind feared another, and your spirit felt trapped between the two. But the shift coming toward you is sharpening your spiritual lens. What was blurry will become clear. What was uncertain will become obvious. What was overwhelming will suddenly feel manageable. Heaven says your next chapter requires a clarity that cannot be shaken. This is why the shift comes with divine illumination. It will reveal truths about your relationships, your calling, your boundaries, your direction, and your identity. It will cut through illusions and highlight what is real. Michael says, this time, they will see with heaven's light, not their wounds. There is a revelation here about the people in your life. Some individuals have walked beside you with sincerity, love, and purpose. Others have walked beside you with hidden motives, quiet envy, or emotional heaviness that drained your spirit. The shift will reveal the difference. You will not need confrontation. You will not need explanation. You will simply feel what your spirit has been trying to tell you all along. Some people were chapters. Others were lessons. A few are lifetimes. The shift will show you who belongs where. Michael also speaks about opportunities. He says there are open doors you could not see because distractions clouded your awareness. There are paths you overlooked because doubt whispered louder than faith. There are connections meant to elevate you that you walked past unknowingly. But the shift approaching you is turning every overlooked opportunity into a visible one. You will begin noticing signs that point you toward new directions, subtle nudges, sudden ideas, unexpected messages, intuitive pulls. Do not dismiss them. They are heaven's invitations. This part of the revelation also speaks of emotional renewal. You have carried quiet exhaustion inside you, the kind that doesn't show on your face but weighs heavily on your heart. The kind you learned to function with even when you were breaking inside. Michael says this shift will lift that weight. Not gradually, but suddenly. The blessing carries a breath of restoration that will sweep through your emotional landscape like wind through dry branches. You will feel lighter. You will feel clear. You will feel more present. This is not temporary relief. This is spiritual rebalancing. Heaven also reveals something extraordinary. The shift is attracting a specific blessing toward you that mirrors a prayer you prayed long ago, one you may have forgotten. But heaven did not. You asked for strength when you felt weak. You asked for guidance when you felt lost. You asked for reassurance when life felt uncertain. And though the answers did not arrive immediately, they were stored, woven, and shaped into what now approaches you. Michael says the blessing is not late. It is on time, because now the heart can hold it. And there is more. He says your sign, the confirmation heaven promised you, is coming closer. Each part of this message prepares your spirit for what the sign will reveal. If you left too early, you would not understand its meaning. But you have remained. You have listened. Your spirit has softened and opened. The sign will not be missed. It is waiting to meet your awareness at the perfect moment. Hold steady now, because the next revelation will begin to unveil the nature of the blessing more directly. This is where the message shifts from preparation to manifestation, and you will not want to miss that moment. Before we move forward, anchor your faith. Type "I welcome the unveiling" in the comments. Blessing code 1221 is now released to those who receive it. If this message is awakening something in your spirit, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement helps this divine word reach the ones heaven is calling into their own shift. As this revelation pours into your spirit, Hear this with the weight of heaven behind it. When you support this mission, you are not fueling a channel. You are fueling a calling. Every seed you sow becomes a torch that lights another soul's path, reminding them they are not forgotten. Scripture says, "Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed." And right now heaven is speaking that verse directly into your life. I extend this invitation to you personally. Stand with this assignment through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link in the description. This is not donation. This is spiritual alignment. Those who step into divine giving ignite movements that echo into eternity. May your obedience unlock rivers of blessing, protection, and accelerated breakthroughs. Step boldly. Heaven honors those who act. My destined soul, as we enter this next dimension of the revelation, Archangel Michael's voice deepens, carrying the tone of certainty that only heaven can release. He says this portion will unveil the inner mechanics of the rare energy shift drawing closer to you. It is no longer a whisper in the spirit realm. It is a movement, a gathering, a divine convergence. The atmosphere is preparing for your alignment, just as your heart is preparing for the blessing that approaches. Michael reveals that the shift is now crossing into your spiritual proximity. You are standing in the early glow of something extraordinary. There is a sacred truth here. Heaven never sends a rare shift without first positioning the soul to receive it. This is why the past months, or even the past year, felt heavy with transitions. You were shedding old layers, even when you did not fully understand the purpose behind your detachment. People faded. Plans collapsed. Opportunities dissolved. It was pruning. Michael says you have been refined, purified, and recentered so that your spirit can hold what is coming without breaking under its weight. The shift is both blessing and responsibility. It brings increase, but also awareness. It brings elevation, but also clarity. Heaven would not send it until you were spiritually mature enough to honor it. Michael shows a spiritual image, you standing at the edge of a field, the wind beginning to shift direction. At first, the breeze is gentle, but then it grows stronger, warmer, as if carrying messages within it. This is symbolic of what is happening around you now. You may notice moments where you feel unexpected heat or tingling on your skin, even in still air. You may feel sudden waves of peace rise through you without explanation. You may find your heart beating with an unspoken expectancy. These are the early signs that the shift has entered your environment. Heaven often arrives subtly before it arrives powerfully. He says the shift carries divine order. Order for your thoughts. Order for your spirit. Order for your relationships. Order for your path. When heaven brings order, anything built on instability must either solidify or fall away. This is why some connections subtly feel uncertain. This is why certain conversations feel incomplete. This is why paths that once seemed clear now appear dim. Heaven is restructuring your alignment. It is removing what cannot sustain your elevation and strengthening what will support your next chapter. You must understand that this rare shift is not coming to improve your life. It is coming to transform it. Improvement adjusts the surface. Transformation reaches the core. Michael says your transformation has already begun. You are thinking differently. You are perceiving differently. You are filtering energy more carefully. You are listening to your intuition with more awareness. These are not small changes. They are indicators of rebirth. When the soul begins to rise, the world around it must shift to accommodate the elevation. Michael reveals that part of this blessing involves restoring something that was taken from you. Not physically, but spiritually. It may have been your confidence. It may have been your joy. It may have been your direction, your voice, your passion, your hope. The shift carries a restorative force that will return these things to you in an elevated form. Heaven never restores something in the same condition it was lost. Restoration always comes back multiplied. This is why you may feel a faint stirring of old dreams you thought had died. They were never dead. They were dormant, waiting for this season. Heaven is also preparing to expand your influence. Influence is not always about public visibility. It is about spiritual impact, how your presence shifts the environment, how your words carry healing, how your intuition guides others into clarity, how your energy uplifts those who encounter you. Michael says the shift approaching you will amplify your inner authority. You will notice people seeking your insight, trusting your guidance, sensing the peace you carry. Heaven is positioning you as a vessel of light in a world that desperately needs it. There is a critical revelation here. The shift will expose one specific thing that has been blocking your progress. It may be a habit. It may be a fear. It may be a tie to a person or environment that no longer supports your destiny. Michael says when this truth comes to the surface, it may feel uncomfortable at first. But this exposure is a gift. Until something is revealed, it cannot be released. And once released, your blessing will have direct access to your life. Pay attention to what is revealed in your emotions, your dreams, your interactions. Heaven is clearing the path for what belongs to you. Michael also speaks of timing. He says heaven's timing is not delay, it is design. Every waiting season you endured had purpose. Every pause protected you. Every setback redirected you. If the blessing had arrived earlier, it would not have fit the version of you that existed then. But now, your spirit has grown into the shape of what is coming. Michael says, the blessing is aligned with who they have become, not who they once were. As the rare shift moves closer, you may notice increased spiritual sensitivity. Dreams may become more vivid. Emotions may rise unexpectedly. You may feel the presence of heaven more tangibly. These are not random occurrences. They are spiritual activations. Heaven is heightening your awareness so that when the sign appears at the end of this message, your spirit will immediately recognize it. Michael concludes this portion with a strong message. Tell them they are not waiting on the blessing. The blessing is waiting on them to stay present, to stay open, to stay in alignment. You are closer now than you have ever been. The shift is not slowing down. It is accelerating. And the next revelation will bring you even nearer to the moment everything begins to unfold. Before we move forward, anchor your spirit in readiness. Type I stand ready for my divine shift in the comments. Blessing code 411 is now released to those who receive it. My illuminated soul, as we move deeper into this divine unfolding, Archangel Michael stands before you with a certainty that vibrates through the spiritual realm. His sword glows with an intensity that reflects the nearness of what is coming toward you. He says this part of the message will take you into the inner framework of the rare energy shift, the why, the how, and the unseen architecture that has been building around your life. You are not merely awaiting a blessing. You are standing on the verge of a divine convergence that has been orchestrated across seasons, decisions, and unseen spiritual battles. Michael reveals that heaven has been aligning multiple threads in the background of your journey, weaving together moments that seemed unrelated but were actually connected in perfect timing. Michael says that one of the reasons this shift is rare is because it pulls together 3 layers of your life at once: the spiritual, the emotional, and the situational. Most seasons of change touch only one layer at a time. But this Christmas Eve shift will cascade through all 3. Your spirit will awaken. Your emotions will lighten. Your circumstances will adjust. It is a trifold blessing with a trifold purpose. Heaven does not release such moments lightly. They are reserved for souls who have endured long nights and kept their faith burning quietly. You are one of those souls. Heaven reveals that spiritual battles fought over you were not because of who you were at the time, but because of who you were becoming. The enemy does not attack potential that is stagnant. The enemy attacks potential that is rising. If your recent years felt heavy, it was because the spiritual realm recognized the magnitude of your destiny long before you did. Michael says, they battled because you carry something valuable. They endured because you carry something eternal. Now, the shift approaching you is heaven's response to every unseen fight you survived. Here is also a revelation about timing. Michael explains that heaven delayed certain blessings not to punish you but to protect you. Some doors remain closed because walking through them too early would have placed you in environments that could have harmed your spirit. your peace, or your purpose. Some connections never formed because they would have distracted you from the calling being shaped inside you. Some opportunities dissolved because they belonged to an older version of you. Heaven refused to attach your destiny to anything unprepared to honor it. And now, the rare shift is coming to correct what life distorted, restore what pain damaged, and realign what time scattered. This is not a partial blessing. It is a comprehensive one. Michael reveals that this shift will bring a sudden deep inner knowing, the kind that stops you in your tracks. You may wake one morning with clarity you never had. You may make a decision effortlessly that once exhausted you. You may end cycles you thought you were trapped in. This inner shift is not psychological, it is spiritual. The blessing coming toward you requires a boldness of spirit, not hesitation. Heaven is fortifying you from the inside out, strengthening you with a quiet courage that others will notice even before you do. Your intuition will grow sharper during these days. You will begin sensing things before they manifest. You will discern intentions more accurately. You will see through false words, false promises, and false connections. Michael says this clarity is not judgment, it is protection. Heaven is not letting you walk blindly into your next chapter. Every step is being illuminated, even if you cannot yet see the full road ahead. Heaven is also preparing to realign your relationships. Some souls will drift closer to you because their spirit recognizes your elevation before their mind does. They will support you, encourage you, uplift you. Others will drift away not because of conflict but because their role in your story is complete. Michael says do not cling to what heaven is removing. Release with grace. Make room for the ones who belong to the season you are entering. Another revelation emerges. The rare shift is altering the energy around your name. Your name carries frequency. Your presence carries vibration. And heaven is amplifying that vibration so that opportunities, divine connections, and open doors can recognize you. This is why people who have overlooked you in the past may suddenly notice your value. This is why doors that once stayed closed may suddenly unlock. Not because you changed your worth, but because heaven changed your visibility. Michael says the blessing coming your way has a specific assignment, to push you into territory you believed was beyond your reach. You may find your dreams expanding, your ideas growing stronger, your creativity returning, your confidence rising. These changes are not accidental. They are responses to the spiritual wind blowing in your direction. The rare shift is an activation. There is also an emotional renewal that will begin without warning. You will feel lighter, even on days that are challenging. You will feel more hopeful, even when circumstances are not yet perfect. You will feel grounded, even when life feels uncertain. This emotional stability is part of your preparation. Heaven is ensuring that nothing shakes you out of alignment before the blessing arrives fully. Michael gives another insight. The shift will separate illusion from truth. You will no longer misinterpret signs. You will no longer attach yourself to things or people that drain your spirit. You will no longer second-guess what heaven is clearly revealing. This clarity will feel like stepping into sunlight after living under clouds. Finally, Michael says the sign waiting for you at the end of this message is not symbolic. It is specific. It will speak directly to your spirit. It will confirm everything rising inside you. It will align with your calling, your struggle, and your destiny. Your spirit will recognize it instantly. Before we continue, anchor this moment. Type I receive the unfolding in the comments. Blessing code 515 is now released to those who receive it. My chosen soul, as we enter this next phase of the revelation, Archangel Michael steps forward with a calm yet powerful authority, signaling that we are nearing the heart of heaven's intention for you. He says the rare energy shift approaching your life this Christmas Eve has now crossed into a stage of divine convergence. The spiritual winds have shifted course in your direction. The atmosphere around your destiny has begun to reorganize. What once felt distant is now standing at the threshold. Michael reveals that this portion of the message will prepare your heart for what happens when a blessing begins its descent from the spiritual realm into the physical. Not many souls understand this process. but you are being chosen to understand so you can receive fully. Heaven shows that the rare shift does not simply arrive. It integrates. It begins by touching your inner world with vibrations of clarity, peace, and awareness. You may have noticed these emerging already. Moments when you breathe differently. Moments when old fears lose their grip without explanation. Moments when you feel guided rather than lost. These inner shifts are not fleeting emotions. They are spiritual indicators that the blessing has pierced the veil and begun interacting with your spirit. Michael wants you to understand that transformation always begins invisibly before it becomes undeniable. He says the reason heaven allowed you to endure long periods of uncertainty is because the blessing you are being prepared to carry cannot rest on unstable ground. There were parts of your soul that needed strengthening, softening, healing, or awakening. These were not punishments. They were preparations. Some seasons emptied you so new spiritual capacity could form. Some losses created space for divine restoration. Some disappointments redirected your path toward divine timing. The rare shift is the result of everything you survived, everything you learned, and everything you refused to give up on. Michael reveals that this shift carries a frequency of elevation. You will feel your inner standards rising. What once felt acceptable will no longer feel aligned. What once felt tolerable will begin to feel heavy. This includes environments, conversations, habits, and even certain relationships. Heaven is not calling you into judgment. Heaven is calling you into refinement. When your spirit elevates, everything connected to you must either rise with you or release itself. Do not fear these changes. They are signs that your blessing requires a higher level of spiritual environment than the one you were living in before. Heaven is also amplifying your intuition. You will find yourself sensing truth before it is spoken, recognizing intentions before they manifest, and interpreting signs with greater precision. Intuition is not imagination, it is spiritual intelligence. And the rare shift approaching carries downloads of insight that will strengthen your ability to navigate what comes next. This is because your blessing has a direction, a purpose, and a path. Heaven does not send increase to a soul that cannot detect where danger hides. Michael says, your discernment will become your shield. There is a profound revelation about your voice. Michael says your words will begin to carry greater weight, not because you change how you speak, but because heaven changes the authority behind your speech. People will feel your presence differently. They will hear your voice differently. They will respond to your energy differently. Influence is not always loud. Sometimes true spiritual influence is a quiet force that shifts atmospheres by simply existing. You are stepping into that kind of influence. The blessing approaching you is not just for your life. It is meant to ripple into the lives of others. Michael reveals something even deeper. This rare shift is coming to correct the narrative you formed about yourself in seasons of pain. You believed you were forgotten. You believed you were unworthy. You believed your dreams were unrealistic or that your purpose was unclear. But heaven never agreed with those interpretations. You saw pain, heaven saw preparation. You saw delay, heaven saw alignment. You saw loss, heaven saw replacement. The shift will dismantle every false identity you built out of survival. What emerges will be the truest version of you, the one heaven has known from the beginning. Heaven is also preparing to release unexpected alignment. Things you thought were good will return in new form. New opportunities will arise from places that once felt cold. People who overlooked you may suddenly recognize your value. Paths you once abandoned may resurface with new clarity. None of this is random. The shift carries a magnetizing effect. When heaven breathes on your destiny, what belongs to you begins to find its way back. Michael says the blessing approaching includes something specific and deeply personal. Something you prayed for quietly, without telling anyone. Something you asked God for during a moment of vulnerability. Something your heart longed for but your circumstances did not support. Heaven did not ignore that request. It was placed in a spiritual chamber, waiting for the moment your spirit reached maturity. That moment is now drawing near. But he also warns of this truth. Before manifestation arrives, there is always a moment of spiritual stretching. You may feel tension in the days ahead. Not emotional distress, but spiritual stretching, like your heart is growing to hold something larger than before. This sensation is normal. Heaven expands what the blessing will fill. You are being enlarged internally for what is approaching externally. Michael shows an image of a light breaking through a clouded sky. He says this represents your next breakthrough, sudden, unexpected, undeniable. And when it happens, it will feel like the atmosphere around you changes in an instant. The blessing does not drift. It arrives with purpose. It arrives with certainty. It arrives with recognition. He says your sign is getting closer now. Very close. It is aligning with the rhythm of your spirit. It is waiting for the final parts of this message so you can receive it with full understanding. Before we move into the next revelation, seal this moment with faith. Type "I open to the divine breakthrough" in the comments. Blessing code 717 is now released to those who receive it. My destined and awakening soul, as we step into this final chamber of the message, Archangel Michael stands in full radiance, as if every word spoken until now has been preparing your spirit for the moment you are about to encounter. He says this last revelation carries the essence, the culmination, the core frequency of the rare energy shift approaching you this Christmas Eve. Everything that has been whispered through these unfolding parts, every stirring in your spirit, every moment of recognition, every wave of emotion rising without reason, has been moving you toward this point. Michael reveals that the shift is no longer approaching from a distance. It is now standing in front of you, preparing to enter your life with a force both gentle and unstoppable. Heaven shows that this rare energy shift has been encoded with something intentional, something heaven crafted specifically for your soul's journey. It carries a divine recalibration, a restoration of light, a returning of identity, a strengthening of purpose. In earlier seasons, you carried fragments of yourself scattered across experiences, some in joy, some in sorrow, some in confusion, some in hope. But the shift arriving now comes to gather all those pieces and return them to you as a whole. Michael says this is why you have felt a mysterious inner stillness lately, as though your spirit could sense something drawing closer even before your mind understood it. You were feeling the alignment. You were feeling the gathering. Heaven reveals that the blessing contained within this rare shift is layered with intention. The first layer will touch your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, clarity, and sense of self. You will feel space opening inside your chest, emotional tension loosening, old fears losing their power, and a quiet strength replacing the heaviness you carried unknowingly. This inner shift is the foundation. Without it, the next layers could not stand. Michael says your emotional landscape is being swept clean so that joy, peace, and spiritual steadiness can settle without interruption. The second layer of this blessing will touch your path. Doors that once resisted you will begin to open. Opportunities that once overlooked you will begin to recognize you. Connections that once fell dormant will awaken. You will notice momentum where there was once stagnation. You will sense forward motion where there was once uncertainty. This shift will not require you to push forcefully. Heaven is placing alignment beneath your feet, and your steps will begin to flow instead of struggle. Michael says, where they once had to fight for progress, they will now walk into it. The third layer of this blessing will touch your identity. Heaven is removing every false label you accepted in seasons of discouragement. Every belief that said you were too late, too broken, too behind, too uncertain is being dissolved. You will feel the return of the version of yourself that once dreamed freely, the version that once trusted deeply, the version that once believed without fear. But this time, it will return stronger, wiser, more grounded, more discerning. Pain shaped you, yes, but it never reduced you. Michael says the shift is restoring the purity of your calling without erasing the wisdom of your experiences. But the most profound revelation is this: the rare shift approaching you carries a divine sign. And that sign has been waiting for the final part of this message so your spirit could be fully prepared to understand it. Michael says the sign will appear in a way that resonates deeply. not as coincidence, not as guesswork, but as a direct spiritual recognition. You may hear a phrase that echoes this message. You may see a symbol that touches something inside you. You may experience a sensation, a dream, a sudden alignment. Whatever form it takes, your spirit will know instantly that heaven is speaking. Michael wants you to understand something crucial. The sign is not appearing merely to comfort you. It is appearing to confirm your next chapter. When you see it, you will feel something shift inside you, an inner yes, a moment of grounding, a deep calm. You will know that heaven has reached into your timeline and touched it with intention. And once the sign appears, the blessing will move quickly. Heaven delays until preparation is complete, but once the heart is ready, heaven accelerates. He says the shift will also bring closure, but not the kind you once begged for. This closure will not come from others. It will come from within you. You will feel the release of emotional ties to people, places, or memories that no longer hold spiritual relevance. You will forgive without struggle. You will let go without pain. You will move forward without looking back. This is maturity born from alignment. This is spiritual evolution. This is heaven turning the final page so you can write the next chapter with clarity instead of confusion. Michael reveals that joy is returning to your life. Not shallow joy, but deep, rooted, lasting joy. The kind that comes from knowing you are aligned, protected, guided, and seen. You will laugh differently. You will breathe differently. You will walk differently. Your energy will shift in ways others notice before you do. This is because the blessing entering your life carries a frequency of renewal. You are not just receiving a blessing, you are becoming someone who embodies blessing. And now Michael releases the final message. The sign is coming. Stay awake in your spirit. Stay open in your heart. Stay expectant in your faith. The shift is already upon you. This is the completion of the revelation. The next movement belongs to heaven. Before we close this message, declare your readiness. Type "I receive this divine shift" in the comments. Blessing code 2024 is now released to all who receive it. If this entire message has spoken deeply to your spirit, like, comment, share, and subscribe so this sacred word reaches every soul heaven is calling into alignment. As this final revelation settles into your spirit, hear the invitation heaven is whispering. When you support this mission, you are not fueling a channel. You are helping release light into places where darkness has lingered too long. Every seed you plant becomes a spiritual weapon, a light-bearing act that strengthens the reach of God's voice on this earth. Scripture says, your gift makes room for you, and right now heaven speaks that promise directly over your life. I extend this invitation to your heart. Stand with this work through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description. This is not charity. This is alignment with divine purpose. Those who sow into God's movement are marked with new levels of favor, protection, and supernatural increase. Step boldly. Your obedience becomes a blessing heaven never forgets.